Hello everyone and welcome to another video tutorial by Nitro Cosplay. I've got to apologise to you all because this is boring. Why is it boring? Because it's not painted. If you want to build a boring unpainted foam prop, you can using my free template and video tutorial, and then if you want to transform it into something awesome, keep on watching. Okay, so in front of me I've got our boring knife prop. I've actually gone ahead and put 2 coats of flexi paint on. It's available in different colours, so I've got their silver, their gold and their brown. The reason I've done that is basically by applying 2 coats it'll be the same as if you used Plastidip or you'd use PVA to actually seal the foam. So that's what I've used the flexi paint for, basically to just seal the foam. And now I'm going to apply acrylics on the top. If you're using flexi paint, go ahead and get your 3rd coat on there, and that'll really bring the colours out. So I'm just using standard acrylics. I've got loads of different brands that I use. Just for this one, this is the ones I've picked. I've put some in a palette here. That's the silver I've used. I've literally just added a drop, maybe 2 drops of water in there, just to thin it out a little tiny bit. I just find that helps with the brush strokes. So I'm just going to apply here some silver onto the actual knife blade. And so I'm not working in any particular direction, I'm working in all directions, and I'm holding the brush as lightly as I can. And the reason I do that is because if you're quite heavy with the brush, you'll end up with brush marks. And we don't really want any brush marks if we can help it. Okay, so that is a coat of acrylic now applied, and I'm sure you can already see the difference. What I did on the other side, I actually went ahead and put on 2 coats. I used 2 coats of acrylic on there, gold, brown and the silver, and that's the difference between, you know, your flexi paint with only 2 coats, or your base if you was using a different product, and then that's with the acrylic. So it's really brought the colours to life. The next step will be to apply washes and weathering to actually make that look a lot more realistic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly get myself set up and we'll show you how to do some washes. Okay, so in front of me now I've got my 2 black washes. The reason I've got 2 is because there's lots of ways you can apply washes. This is just 2 of the basic ones. So on this side here, our wash is a lot thicker than it is on this side. This side's a lot watery, as you can see. It's sloshing around there in the palette. So there's 2 different washes there, both black. They're both acrylic, so it's just acrylic paint that's just been watered down. And the way we apply the thicker wash is, as you see, is when we paint it on, you'll see that it's quite thick already. You're almost losing the silver that we applied. So what we do is we brush it on like so, and then just leave it for a few seconds to dry out a little bit. And you can go ahead with, I've got a bit of kitchen towel here, and then you can just start to wipe that off. Okay, it's always easier to really, when you're doing washes, once the colour's on there, it's on there. So if you wipe too much off, it doesn't really matter, because you can go ahead and you can put another wash on the top. If you leave it to dry too long and you don't take enough off, once it's dry, it's too late. So if it looks too dark, it's a little bit too late to then go ahead. Well, you could, suppose you could go back over and paint it with silver, but you don't really want to. So in the case of washes, it's better to do 3 or 4 washes to get an effect you're happy with, than to do one thick wash and, you know, possibly have to go back and reapply your silver. So the other wash we've got here was the really watery wash. So the case with this one is, as you see, this one's a lot lighter, and you can just apply that wash on the top there. Let's try and get rid of some brush marks. Now the idea with this wash is, when it dries, because it's so watered down, as it dries, it'll actually start to bring back the silver. Well, it won't bring it back, but as it dries, because the paint's so thin, it will become opaque. So that's just the 2 different washes you can do. So you've got the thicker one, whereby you'd apply it and then you need to wipe it off, or you can thin the paint right down and literally just apply it as a wash, cover the whole item, and then let it dry. This was the other side that I actually done off camera. So I've got my wash on here and then on the gold as well. So just for an example, with the gold, that's with the wash and then that's without. So it's, you can see it's really toned the colour down already. I'm not quite happy with that, so I'm just going to give it a quick wipe over. As I say, with the washes, you don't really want to apply the wash too thick or too heavy. You can always just wipe it off and say, here we go. Just wipe it off until you're happy with the effect that you've got. Yeah, I think that's about right. So that's how you apply a wash. So the next step I will then go ahead and do is dry brush. So I'll quickly weather in, well, wash in this side, and then I'll get myself set up and I'll show you some dry brushing. Okay, so I want to dry brush. In front of me I've got a little bit of silver acrylic there on a bit of kitchen towel, and I'm just going to apply a little bit like that to the brush. Where's the camera? Here it is. And then I'm just going to take it all off. So I'm just going over the kitchen towel again and again with it. So you'll see it's on the brush, but as I'm wiping it over the kitchen towel, absolutely nothing's now coming off. And then you're just going to gently work over the areas of the prop. So I'm going to start on the top edge. And I'm hoping the camera will pick up that it is leaving slight colouring on the prop. Now with the actual blade section at the bottom, that's going to be, you know, it'll constantly be sharpened, so that won't actually need to be dark as it was, because say it's constantly being used. So I'm just going to work over that section now, and what you'll find is as you start to wipe off onto that section, you'll no longer actually need to apply paint. You'll just be able to go back to that section that you've actually been, where you've been wiping off the excess as it was. So I'm just seeing where I put in the actual, where I've worked from the bevel. So you see there I've actually got a line. It's where the paint's too thick. So if you're quick enough, you can just wipe that section there off. So we all make mistakes, nobody is perfect. Just wipe that off again. I'm just going to go over our weathered section. Just literally, it should just pick up the little highlighted areas. And then we do exactly the same then with the gold section. So for this I've got bright brass. I only had it in an airbrush colour, so it's quite thin. Just gotta clean the brush off. Now, because it's airbrush, it'll soak into the paper before the actual paintbrush, and then just work on the edges again. So we're just highlighting the edges to start off with. So I always like to start with the edges, because if you look at a metal item, it's the edges that are, you know, the middle will be dirty as such, but it's where you're actually holding it, you know, and the edges are normally always in contact with either, you know, yourself by holding it, or another object that it would rub against. It's normally the edges that tend to be brighter in anything that is actually metal. I'm not sure if the camera picks up on what I can actually see in front of me. I'm hoping it does. And then that's the side I did earlier, so I'm not sure if the camera picks up on it too well because of the lighting. But that is an effect, that is dry brushing, so I'm hoping you can see there that the blade section is a lighter colour than this section, and then right at the very top of the blade you've got a lighter section just on the very edge where it's worn slightly and onto that tip. So now we've done that, what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll start adding in some dirt and some rust effects. So for dirt and rust I'd probably go in and do around the actual knife blade, around the handle section where you've got deep crevices. You know, I've covered it mostly with a wash, but I'll go in and I'll add a brown just on that very edge there, and then I'll start to add some blood, and I think we're pretty much done. Got a bit of paint spill there, not happy with that. Come on, rub off. Here we go. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put some brown in there. and around there as well. I'm not going to add any rust to this because I kind of like it the way it is already, to be honest. So I'm just going to add some dirt to it, and then I'll come back once I've literally, all I'm going to do is just put some brown in just under there, so it's sort of like shadowing. I'll come back and then I'll show you the blood that I use. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone ahead, added some brown around some areas, and then I've applied some blood to it. For the blood, I've been using the Citadel Blood of the Blood Gods. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. There we go. So you've got that from the Games Workshop. You can sort of see a little bit covered in it. It's good fun. You can use a toothbrush to get some nice splattery effects. Pour a bit into the palette, dip your fingers in there and sort of like flick it all over. You can paint it on and wipe sections off, just sort of be a little bit creative with it. But that is the finished knife that I had, so it's gone from boring foam to it looks fairly decent. I'm not going to lie, it's not my best work, but I have been trying to film a tutorial and show you guys as quick as possible how to do things, rather than you sitting there and getting bored watching me paint for 2 or 3 hours as it would for, you know, another prop piece, for example. So I hope that you guys have hopefully learned something and my video hasn't been too boring. If there's anything you want me to go into more detail in, then please do let me know and I can do that. So I've just tried to cover as much as possible, as quick as possible. So anyway, I hope that all helps, and stay tuned to Nitro Cosplay for more tips, tricks and tutorials, and I will upload some proper photos of how that comes out when the blood's all dry.